And I welcome you all to this session of daily editorial analysis. So I hope that your study is going well. All of you are writing answers also, and at the same time you are also updating your notes. So I think all these things are going on simultaneously. See, if we look at the topics, if we are looking at the topics, you will see this, that in the last 1 week there have been certain topics which has again been there in the limelight. Like now we see that there is one topic with respect to India's foreign policy and West Asia. India's foreign policy and West Asia. This is one such topic which has been continuously there in the news. That what is India's foreign policy and the West Asia. So I think you are updating the notes on this part. The second thing is again with respect to energy. Energy is one of the common factor. Energy is one of the common topic which we are seeing that it is getting repeated. Time after time we are having a repetition of this one topic. So this is one, these are two themes which are continuously getting repeated in the last 10 days. Okay. Now, in today's session, the topics which we are going to discuss, if we look at this, we are going to discuss about these topics. We have three topics here. One is India-Australia relations. We will talk about this one editorial. Second editorial will be related to women financial empowerment. And third thing is EV transition in India. Now, why this women financial empowerment? This is something which is related to health. This is something which is related to the health outcomes. That health outcomes will be measured here. Okay. So, in that context, we are going to talk about these three topics. And then after we will also discuss the answers of the questions which we have seen last day. Now, let's come to this one topic. Beyond 3 C's, the new lexicon of India-Australia ties. Okay. So here, what has been said about this relation, we will try to understand this one by one. Okay. When we are talking about India-Australia, when we are talking about this India-Australia relation, India-Australia, we see that the relations, the traditional part, the traditional relation, it was about the 3 C's. 3 C's. These 3 C's were Commonwealth, that India and Australia both are part of Commonwealth of Nations. India and Australia both are part of Commonwealth of Nations. This is an organization in which those countries which were once colonies of British Empire are part of it. So India and Australia both are part of this Commonwealth. Then India and Australia relation is also marked by one of the very important sports in India and Australia as well, that is cricket. Okay, you know that, like, of course we are having our own rivalry with Pakistan, but Pakistan is one such country in cricket nowadays that it's not a rivalry. So our true rivalry is with Australia. It is with Australia. So in both countries, the game is quite much popular. In both countries, the game is quite much popular. You may have seen some of the very prominent players of Australia. They have been often seen in India. Like if you talk about Brett Lee also, if you talk about Adam Gilchrist also, Ricky Ponting also, and some of the new ones also. Okay. So you will find that this is one of the main elements of cooperation between India and Australia. And then of course the food item, the curry. Okay. So there were 3 C's of India and Australia relation. Now this is going to the next part. Now we are having additional 3 D's. That is, both the countries are having a diverse, a plural democracy. Both the countries are having a plural democracy. Then there is also diaspora. There is also a rich diaspora of India in Australia. We are having a significant diaspora presence in Australia also. And the third element, that is the dosti, means the friendship. Dosti means the friendship between India and Australia. So in the recent times, India and Australia, India and Australia, they are growing as a natural partner, they are growing as a mutual friend together. So initially it was about the three C's, that is Commonwealth, cricket and curry. And now we see that there are three D's also, that is with respect to democracy, diaspora and those things. And at the same time, beyond these C and D, there is two E also. There is some other modern element, that is 2E. One of the E is energy and education. Okay. So if you read the ABCD, you will understand if you read just this ABCD, okay, you will understand the relation between India and Australia. So let us see this, that how the things are going on between India and Australia in the recent times. Let us try to understand it one by one. When we are talking about the economic partnership, when we are talking about this economic partnership, when we are talking about this economic partnership, you will see that almost entire Indian export to Australia. Right now, the entire Indian export to Australia, this is having duty-free access. This is having duty-free access. It is having the duty-free access. Then we also see that even if we talk about this import from Australia, or if we are talking from the Australia perspective, so 90% of Australian export, 90% of the Australian export, they are also like this has like got the preferential access. They have been provided preferential access. They have been provided the preferential access. Okay. And this export of Australia, it has helped India to get certain things. For example, critical minerals. We are getting the wool also, avocados also. Okay. So there is supply of critical minerals, wool, etc. So these are things which we are getting from Australia. Now what we see, the trade between India and Australia, that is near about 33 billion in 2025, and the target here is to reach the goal of 100 billion by 2030. So in this year of 2025, the relation between India and Australia, if we talk about the trade, that is equivalent to $33 billion. And we have a target that we want to reach it to $100 billion in the next 5 years, that is by 2030. So that is the goal here. Now this is one part of the economic part. There is another thing, that is investment. If we talk about investment, so here again you will find that many of the companies from both sides, they are investing in each other country. Like the cumulative investment, it is approximately $50 billion. It is approximately $50 billion. So they have developed in India, in case of like there is Australia's air trunk. So they are investing 30 billion. Okay. There is an Australian company, air trunk. This one is investing. It is investing 30 billion by 2030. And this one is investing in AI research center. This one is investing in India in AI research center. It is investing $30 billion by 2030. Sorry, AI data center. AI data center. AI data center. So this one is investing 30 billion by 2030. Similarly, you will find that there is a company from India, Pardhaman Chemicals. Pardhaman Chemicals. This is having a plant. Pardhaman Chemicals. This is from India. This is also investing in Australia. This one is also investing in Australia. And how much this one is investing? It is investing around $4.5 billion. $4.5 billion. So this is for the urea. This is for the urea plant in Australia. So we see that the investment is bilateral in nature. There are certain Indian companies which are investing in Australia. There are Australian companies which are investing in India. So this is one of the part where we see that the relation is again going in a better manner. Then we see this one another part, that is the cooperation with respect to the defense. Defense. You may have seen certain military exercises. Military exercise or naval exercise which goes on. Like we have the Malabar. We have OS index. We have this OS Ind exercise, Australia-India exercise. We are also having the Malabar exercise. This is something which goes on a regular basis. OS index. OS index means Australia-India exercise. So this is a continuous engagement. This is a continuous engagement. Okay. Now, if we look at this, right now there has been no such major development here, but what we see that the Australian Defence Minister, he has got two terms. Like this is the second term of the Australian Defence Minister, and in both of his terms, his first visit was to India. Okay, so this signals this one part. If the Australian Defence Minister is making his first destination to India, it means he is really interested about having a defense cooperation with respect to India. In fact, Indian Defence Minister has also visited Australia. So we might see that in the future there is going to be some defense pact or some defense agreement between India and Australia also. Okay, so there have been regular high level visits. There have been regular high level visits, ministerial visits on defense cooperation. So it is going on from both sides. It is something which is going on from both sides, that we are having defense ministers of both countries visiting each other countries. So we might see that there is an opportunity that we might be collaborating on AI, we might be collaborating on cybercrime, might be collaborating on drones and many other things in future. So there is a chance that we might be having some defense pact also with Australia in the near future. So that is also one of the important aspect of it. Okay. Then in the case of energy and education, when we talk about the energy sector, we see that Australia, this is one of major supplier of coal. It has been one of the major supplier of coal, but at the same time we are also having a solar task force and a green hydrogen task force. We see that there is existence of solar task force, green hydrogen task force. So we are having a special task force on both these renewable sources of energy also. We are having a solar task force also. We are having a green hydrogen task force also with Australia. So we are collaborating on green hydrogen also. We are collaborating on solar also. Now at the same time, recently there has been media reports that Australia might start supplying uranium to India. Okay. So there is also some media reports, and see, these media reports are not from Indian news channel. They are not from the Indian news channel. That is from Australia. So you can have somewhat trust there. Okay. So these media reports are there from Australia, which suggest that this one suggests that Australia might start exporting uranium. Might start exporting uranium to India. Okay. So there are certain media reports from Australia which is saying that Australia might start exporting uranium to India. So this is the collaboration with respect to energy. Then if we are talking about the education part, okay. Now in this front, what we see that around 1 lakh students, they are enrolled in Australia. 1 lakh Indian students, they are already enrolled in Australia. So that is also one thing which we see between India and Australia. There are 1 lakh students which are there. Plus at the same time, some of the Australian universities, they are also starting to have campus in India. Okay. So we see that Australian universities, they are starting to have campus in India. Campuses in India. So many of them have started also campuses in India. So that is also one of the part that now the universities of Australia, which are known for very good education, they are also coming to India. Okay. And of course, there have been association with respect to game. You all know about the game like cricket. But you will see that due to a very much dynamic diaspora in Australia, now we see that there are games such as Kho-Kho and Kabaddi. They are also getting popularity in Australia. Okay. So there is also the next part, the games. We see that there is a rising popularity. Of Kho-Kho and Kabaddi. So I think many of you may have played Kabaddi, but how many of you have played Kho-Kho? How many of you have played Kho-Kho during your school time? So Kho-Kho is also getting popular in Australia. So how many of you know what is Kho-Kho? Have you played? Both. Chalo, it's good. If you have played both the games, then quite good. Is the India-Australia Solar Task Force on Army Task Force or just a committee? No. A Solar Task Force means like a group of experts who will be working on this part, that how we are going to collaborate on solar energy, how we are going to ensure technology transfer or capacity transfer, capacity building. That is the role of task force here. The task force is not related to army. Task force means a group of experts or a group of team which is working together. That is task force. Okay. Now, so this is also one part, energy and education. But at the same time, we are having certain irritants in the relation. Also in the relation. You may have seen that there has been a 25% hike in visa fee. And this is something which is for the which is for the like uh, which is for the students also. What we see that increase in salary thresholds, increase in salary threshold for working professionals. What is this increase in salary thresholds? Many of the countries are adopting this policy. Many of the countries are adopting this policy. Like, suppose that if you are going to US and if you are earning less than, like, let's say, $1 lakh per year, you are earning less than $1 lakh per year, so then you will not be allowed to go there and work. Okay, so a limit is there that you have to pay a minimum of more than $1 lakh, then only you can call the foreigners from outside to work there. So now the companies have this one thing. Why the companies were hiring Indian people or people from developing nations? They thought that if they're hiring outside people, they can pay less and they can like reduce their cost. Because if a local is working, you have to pay higher. If someone who has come from outside, even if you're paying lower, they are ready to work. Because due to the dollar exchange rate in their country, it is going to be a higher amount. So $1 lakh is equivalent. $1 lakh is equivalent to 95 lakh rupees in India. So if you are giving someone 95 lakh rupees for working, everyone will be ready. So even if you are giving 80, then also it is 72 lakh rupees. So it is quite a good salary for an Indian person. So they see this one thing, that if it is less than 1 lakh, let's try to restrict it. That if you are paying more than 1 lakh, then you can call a person from India to work in Australia. So now the company has to evaluate that if they're calling an Indian person, they have to worry about the passport, they have to worry about the visa and everything. Okay. But if they're hiring a local, they might be spending just a little bit and their work is also done. So this is a type of restriction which is imposed by many countries such as Europe, Australia, US and many other developed nations. Okay. So this is a increase in salary threshold for working professionals that is also done by Australia. Then we see that there is also operation of Pro Khalistan group. There is also operation of Pro Khalistan group in Australia. There has also been incidences of racial discrimination. Incidences of racial discrimination and abuse. There have also been cases of racial discrimination and abuse. Okay. So this is one of the challenges. These are some of the irritants which are present in India-Australia relation. But yes, the opportunities are huge. These are minor irritants. They can be resolved. These are minor irritants. They can be easily resolved. So that is our first topic, India-Australia ties. What's going on till now and what are the irritants also. So I hope this first part is clear. This first editorial is clear. Acha, you know, but you have not played. Okay, no problem. We will organize a Kho match once. Those who are writing answers on daily basis, for them we are going to organize a Kho match. Okay. Operation of Pro Khalistan means there are Pro Khalistan groups who are working or operational in Australia. They are raising voice against India. They are uniting against India. Okay. They are looking for a creation of a separate Khalistan. Okay. Now, can you tell me this one thing? What is the labor force participation of women in India right now? What is the labor force participation of women in India in 2026? The PDF is there in the English only. Any idea about this? What is the labor force participation of women in India? Average. %15. Increase is there, that's fine. But what is the labor force participation? On an average, what is the labor force participation of women in India? 15% is the figure which was there in 2018-19. Not 15, 18%. 30% still low. Go a little bit higher. Go a little bit more higher. 32. Maybe 40%. Yes. So what we see that the female labor force participation ratio is approximately 40%. It is ranging from 39 to 40%. So the labor force participation has increased in India. 35% is on monthly basis. 35% is on monthly basis, but annually if you look at the figures, it goes up to 39 to 40%. It is going up to 39 to 40%. It has in fact, yes, 43.3% also at certain point of time. So we see that it is approximately 40% in the recent times. It is approximately 40% in the recent times. Now, what is the main argument here? What is the main argument here? The argument is this, that if you are having financial empowerment, if you are having financial empowerment of women, so then what we see that this can lead to better health outcomes. Better health outcomes. This can lead to a better health outcome. So we see that financial empowerment of women can lead to better health outcomes for the entire family, for the country. Okay. And for this purpose, a case study has been provided. For this purpose, a case study has been provided. So you can quote that case study as an example also in essay or in answers. Okay. So what is the case study all about? See here. What we see, there was a 2018 reform in Employees Provident Fund. There was a reform which was done in the Employees Provident Fund in 2018. Okay. What was the reform? Okay. For the newly employed women in the formal sector, we have seen that the mandatory EPF contribution was 12%. Okay. So there was no change in the salary. Look at this one thing. If a person is working in a formal sector, they are contributing a part of their salary towards the provident fund. A part of their salary is deducted and it is added to the provident fund, which is a saving for them, which is kind of a saving for them. So normally the contribution to this provident fund is 12%. Normally the contribution is how much? It is 12%. But for women, it was reduced to 8%. It was reduced to 8%. Okay. So see this one thing, that for a normal employee, the contribution to the provident fund is 12%. For women, it was made 8%. It means their in-hand salary is going to increase. So in-hand salary increased due to this part. There was a increase in the in-hand salary. The experiment was about this, that if we are having a more in-hand salary, how the women are going to spend that money. If they are getting more money in the hand, how are they going to spend it? Okay. So what we see, their in-hand salary has increased, and then there was this observation of this one part ki how they are using their salary, how they are using their salary. What we see that the spending on medicines, it has declined, spending on doctor consultation, it has declined, but the expenditure has increased in terms of nutrition and in terms of physical fitness. Okay, so there was more spending of money on nutritious food items plus health or fitness. So it means they might have joined some gym also, and they have gone for good quality of food. It is not only for the women, it is for the family, that the family might have got a better quality of food, plus they have started spending more on physical fitness. On the other hand, the consultation charges of doctor decrease, the medicine cost also decreased. So it means what? What is the indication over there? What is the indication? What is the indication? More money with women. If there is more money with women, what we see that more spending on preventive healthcare, more spending is there on preventive healthcare plus nutritious food. Nutritious food. So this is something which can lead to better health outcomes. We will see that it is going to lead to better health outcomes, less expenditure on doctors and medicines. So there is going to be lesser expenditure in terms of doctors and medicines. Okay. So this was one of the case study. This was one of the case study that in 2018, the Provident Fund contribution of the women were reduced. The Provident Fund contribution of the women were reduced. They were given more in hand salary, and that salary have shown a improvement. That salary have shown a improvement in what? In better health outcomes, plus at the same time lesser expenditure on doctors and medicine. So from here what we see that this is one of the indication. This is one of the indication that if women are getting a better employment, so there is a dual benefit. Okay. So here it is being said that if we are looking at our employment policy, here there should be more focus. There should be more focus on women employment. Why? It serves multiple purposes. It is serving multiple purposes. It is serving multiple purposes. One thing is financial empowerment. There is going to be financial empowerment. There is going to be social empowerment. There is going to be a social empowerment. Plus at the same time, there is also going to be a better health outcomes. There is also going to be a better health outcome. Okay. So this is one of the thing. This is one of the thing which has been seen. And here it has also been seen that there is better educational outcome also. Better educational outcome also. We see that if women are getting financial empowerment, if women are having more money, then naturally we see that the family becomes more and more educated. There is a more spending. There is a more and more spending on the education of their children. There is more and more spending on the education of their children also. So we see that there is multiple benefit which arises from the financial empowerment of the women. There is social empowerment also, there is better health outcome also, better education also. So this is what has been discussed in this one article, that you have to link the health policy with respect to women empowerment or women employment. So that is one thing which was discussed in this article. This entire case study was discussed in this article. So it's not that the question will be entirely about this, but yes, in case of the GS paper 1 or GS paper 2, where you are preparing the women related topic, this is one angle also which you can use there. You can also keep this one example in mind. The example of reduction in the provident fund, in the reduction to the contribution of provident fund and the impact on health outcomes. Okay, so I hope that part is clear. Okay, so this is the second article which we have to discuss, that how the women empowerment or employment is also helping in this health outcome also. Okay, so what we have to do, we have to provide more employment to the women. Okay. See, in general, if you look this in your family also, like jokes apart, you will see that in your family, suppose your mother is having extra money. If your mother is having extra money, so what do you think? What is going to be her preference? Think about this. Jokes apart, if the mother is having extra money, where is she going to spend it? Initially, if we are talking about the age of 20 to 30, if you look at the age of 20 to 30, you will see that most of the people are focusing on themselves. It's not about the gender. You will find that there is an age group of 20 to 30 years. This is the time when people start earning money, and during this time they focus on themselves. But after a certain period of time, after 30s, after 30, 32 years, 35 years, you will find that people are going to have families. Okay. Then after that, you will find that if women is having more money, they are going to focus on the needs of their family. They are going to focus on the education of their child, the better food for their children. Okay, or yes, they can also save it for emergency period, for any such challenges in the future. So they are spending money. They are also spending money on the wellness of their child, education, health, nutrition, or they are also saving it for the future. So that is one thing which you will witness in your home also, in your own house also you will witness this, that generally as soon as we are seeing the age of 30 to 35 and beyond, you will see the shift in the pattern. Okay, generally there is an age which is around 20 to 30 to 35 nowadays, where people focus more on themselves, but after a certain age you will find that they now start focusing on other things. They start focusing on the welfare of their family members. So it's not that, like generally we see that if women are getting more income, they might be spending it on their own, they might be spending on good clothes or cosmetics or other things, but that is only up to a certain period of time. And that is the same thing which is done by the men also, that if you are having a good income and if you are having no such liability, what do? What are the people doing? Now it's not the time of the 2000 or 2010 or 1990s when people were getting income, they were saving it and they were sending it home. Now we see that those people who have started earning, their parents are also getting some amount, their parents are also earning some money. So now there is multiple hands earning the money. So if they are getting income, they are spending it on themselves, or like going to Himalayas, going to rivers, going to mountains. Mountains is dangerous also in the time of rainfall, so don't go to mountains. Okay. If both couple work, that is spending on their family independently, yes, and the family conditions improve. The family condition improve, the focus on health and education, both things change. Okay. Yes. So this is one of the part. This is one of the part of women empowerment and health linkage. Now coming to the next dimension. Now coming to the next dimension, that is the EV transition. The EV transition. Now just to show you certain figures, to just show you certain of the parts, you can see that how the things have been changing. How the things have been changing. This is showing the growth of the sales of EV in the past 10 years. In the past 10 years, this is how the electric vehicles have been rising. This is how the electric vehicles have been rising. And look at these last 5 years. Look at the last 5 years. You will see this one thing. A tremendous growth is seen in the case of two-wheelers. In the case of two-wheeler, just focus in the last 5 years. In the last 5 years, there have been a tremendous growth of two-wheelers. Then of course, when we see the three-wheelers also, and mostly the e-rickshaws and others, so we see that there is a tremendous growth there also. You will find this is the part of the three-wheelers. It has also been rising. But we see that in the present times, the two-wheelers have taken a lead. They have started late. But we see that there is a phenomenal rise. There is a phenomenal rise in the two-wheelers. There is a phenomenal rise in the category of two-wheeler vehicles, two-wheeler electric vehicles. And of course, four-wheelers are now also increasing. If you see the increase in four-wheeler, that is also there. Especially focus on the last 2 years. Especially you can focus on the last 2 years, that now it is increasing also at a good rate. So we see that there has been a very much accelerating rate of growth with respect to the electric vehicles in India. This is one part of the story. But at the same time, there are 30 crore vehicles in India which are running on fossil fuels. Okay. So at the same time, we have 30 crore vehicles. We have got 30 crore vehicles running on fossil fuels. Running on fossil fuels. So you can see there that it is now reaching up to 25 lakh per year. It is reaching up to 25 lakh per year. That is one impressive figure. That is one impressive figure, that we are having a growth of almost 25 lakh electric vehicles per year as seen in 2025-26. It was near about 20 lakh in 2024, around 17 lakhs in 23, around 12 lakh in 2022. So we see that the numbers are increasing, but still the majority of the thing is we have got 30 crore vehicles. We have got 30 crore vehicles which are running on fossil fuels even now. And I think you know about this, that we have got 85% dependence. We have got 85% dependence on import for crude oil. We have got 85% dependence on crude oil in the present times. Okay. So this is one of the figure which you have to keep in mind. Okay. So petrol, and if you combine the diesel, it is still 38.1 crore. Electric vehicle is 0.95 crore, hybrid is 0.19, others is 0.05, gas based is also 1.1. Okay, so we see that this is the number of vehicles in India. Now what you will see, if we are talking about the share, that how much share is there of the electric vehicles in different category, you have seen that there is a phenomenal increase in the number of bikes. But despite this, what you see, 98.3% vehicles, 98.3% bike or two-wheelers, they are still running on fossils. In case of three-wheeler, we see that it is almost 50%, but we see a considerable change here. Around 24% of the three-wheelers, they are electric. 28% they are running on CNG, and around 47.8 they are running on petrol or diesel. So in three-wheelers, we have still a better outcome as compared to the two-wheelers. Then you will find in the four-wheeler category, again we see that 85.6%, that is what? That is coming from the petrol and diesel. So the percentage of vehicles, if we are looking at this, the percentage of vehicles which are running on fossil, it is still very much high. In the case of bikes also, in the case of three-wheelers also, in the case of four-wheelers also. Still, three-wheeler is in a much more better state than the two-wheelers and the four-wheelers. So we see that there is a better part, there is a better performance in the three-wheelers with respect to environment. Okay. Now, the thing is, what can be the policy approach? What can be our approach? First thing is, we need to establish a national framework. Okay. What we have to do, we have to retrofitting framework. Okay. We have to look at retrofitting the existing vehicles. We can go for changing them. This is one of the main idea which has been suggested, that we can go for retrofitting of the vehicles. See, we are still having, like if we compare all the sectors, we are still having around 40 crore vehicles. These 40 crore vehicles, if we take an average life of 10 years, they are going to be there on the road for 10 years. These vehicles, they are going to be on the road for a minimum of 10 years. So if we focus on this part, that the new vehicles will be electric and then we will get rid of pollution, it is not going to happen. So we need to look for technology where we can focus on retrofitting, that we need to change the existing fleet of the vehicles. We need to change the existing fleet of vehicles so that the same vehicles can get converted. The same vehicles can get converted. Then at the same time, we should also formally recognize retrofitted vehicle as financiable assets. Okay. Now see, like suppose if we are having already a bike or a car or any such vehicle, if we are turning them into electric vehicle, so it is going to be costly. You have to change the engine and all. It is going to be costly. So if it is costly, it should be converted into a financial asset. Means financiable asset. Means people can avail loan for this purpose. Why would people go for a spending? Like suppose if one person is having a bike of, let's say 70,000, 80,000 or 1 lakh rupees, why are they going to spend 20, 30 or 40,000 for converting it into electric vehicle? So they need some loan for that purpose. They should be given some subsidy. They should be given some incentive for this purpose. At least it should be made a financiable asset. So that is one thing which is required there. Then we should also create a strict certification and safety standard to eliminate low quality informal vehicle conversion. These days you may have seen that if people are purchasing a petrol vehicle, that is also getting converted into CNG. If you are having a petrol vehicle, you can get converted it in form of CNG. So similarly, if we are having these informal conversion, we can try to make a formal conversion structure. We can try to make a formal conversion structure. We need to have a proper certification, a proper standard for that purpose. So this is one thing which again is required. Then at the same time, we need to rationalize the GST. So if there are retrofit kits, so they should not be taxed at disadvantage to the EVs. They should also be getting some tax compensation. Then public data availability. Okay, so it should be there in order to assist the manufacturer, business and consumers. Okay, and then retrofitting can be included in the subsidy schemes also. So we are having certain like PM e-drive schemes and others. So they are focusing just on new vehicles, but we have seen that we have a very huge pool of the vehicles which are not electric, which are mostly based on fossil fuel. So if we wait for the future, that in future after 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, there will be electric fleet, then the time will be gone. We have to start working on retrofitting with the existing vehicles in India. So that is one of the suggestion which has been provided. So I think that part is clear. See, that is the benefit of editorials. You are always getting some new ideas. Till now, we were reading about electric vehicles. We were reading about how we can go for transition in mobility in India. But we have not seen this component. We have not seen this component of retrofitting. So what we see that this is one thing which you get from the editorials. There are certain new ideas which you always get, that how we can improve our transport sector. So you have got the figures also, the fact and figure also, plus you have got the suggestion also. Okay. Now see here, on the basis of it, we have these two questions. The financial empowerment of women can be a key component of Indian health policy. Comment. Then the Indo-Australia ties have emerged as a strategic partnership in the Indo-Pacific region. So this is one question which you have to discuss. Okay. That is two part. Now let's come back to today's question. We are going to discuss this one. The right to vote should not be merely a statutory right. It is against the basic principles of Constitution. And the keyword was critically comment. When there is a word comment, so of course you are writing, but when it is critically comment, it means you have to evaluate or you have to give opinion in the favor of it also and somewhat against it also. Okay, that in favor also, in against also. So this is one topic which you had to write. How many of you have written the answer? How many of you have written this answer? If the keyword is critically comment, then of course you have to follow the normal pattern of comment. You have to give your views also. But at the same time, when critically comment is there, you have to make sure that you are discussing both the angles of the question. So this topic is related to which subject? I think you have joined today for the first time. See, this is one topic which I have given last day. It was there to write answer. It is part of polity. We have discussed the article last day, and on the basis of that, I have given question. Like today we have got 3 topics and I have given 2 questions. So next day I will be discussing the answer of it. So last day I have given this question and we have to discuss its answer. Okay. Now, when we talk about this, the right to vote should not be merely a statutory right. It is against the basic principle of Constitution. So how you can start? The introduction. The EV portion, the electric vehicle portion, that is part of GS paper 1 also, because you have to see the urban areas and everything. So it is part of somewhat GS paper 1 also. Then it is part of the human geography. Then we have the GS paper 2 also, government policy. Then we have GS paper 3 also, that is the pollution and the energy sector. So it is cutting across the syllabus. It is part of GS 1 also, 2 also and 3 also. Okay. So we have this one introduction. The right to vote should not be merely a statutory right. It is against the basic principles of the Constitution. Okay. Now, when we are talking about this, start it with this, like the Supreme Court judgment. Start with the Supreme Court judgment. We have seen multiple judgments last day, like Kuldeep Nair case or other cases, Anup Varanwal case also, and other cases. So take any case, and then you can mention that Supreme Court has reaffirmed, or Supreme Court has affirmed it multiple times in cases such as Kuldeep Nair case or other cases, that right to vote in India is a statutory right rather than a constitutional right. Okay, then that will be the first part. How are you going to start the introduction? Okay, then the thing is, the right to vote should not be merely a statutory right. It is against the basic principle. Okay, so then you will write this: need to upgrade right to vote to constitutional right. There you can mention this part, that several components of voting are considered as a fundamental right. There you can make that the right to have an informed choice has been declared as a fundamental right. Right to informed choice has been declared as a fundamental right. Right to know has been declared as a fundamental right. Right to reject has also been declared as a fundamental right. The Constitution under Article 326 also says that there should be election on basis of universal adult suffrage. You can quote multiple times. You can also say this one thing, that democracy is the part of basic structure of Constitution. Free and fair election are essential for the democracy and also a basic structure of the Constitution. Now, if we combine them all together, so right to vote should also be given either a constitutional status or a fundamental right. Okay. So here you will be writing 4-5 points. Like, you will talk about the right to know part. Right to know. You will say about the right to informed choice. Right to reject the constitutional provision. Then the part of democracy and free and fair elections. Okay. So this is how you will be writing the different points. We have discussed that in detail. We have discussed the each and every part, that why right to know. We have discussed the right to know. We have discussed the right to informed choice. We have discussed the right to reject. We have seen the constitutional provisions. We have seen that there is basic structure doctrine, which includes democracy is a key part of it, which includes free and fair election is a key part of it. So that's why the right to vote should ultimately become a constitutional right or a fundamental right. So this is one part. Now you have to write the second thing. Need to upgrade right to vote as a constitutional right is one part of it. But the challenges which might be there. What challenges might be there? There can be constant petitions. Against SIR. There can be constant petitions against SIR. So SIR process can become much more complicated then. Right now it is a statutory right, and we have seen so many cases pending in Supreme Court for SIR. Now suppose it has been declared a constitutional right, or let's say if it is declared a fundamental right, then what? Then it is going to open the floodgate of cases against the SIR, against the Election Commission of India. Then it is also going to be challenging for migrants. It is again going to become a challenge for migrants. How are we going to enforce their constitutional right? How are we going to enforce their constitutional right? That is also going to become a challenge. Okay, then it will be a challenge. It will be a challenge for Indians outside India. That will also be a challenge. They also have a constitutional right. So how are you going to ensure the voting rights for them? In fact, this is one process which can become very much complicated. This can make the election process very much complicated. So implementation challenges will be there. Implementation challenges plus continuous petitions can be there. So that is one of the part how it can be challenging. How it can be challenging. So then you can suggest this way forward part also. Way forward is we need to have at least discussion on this angle. We need to have discussion. We need to establish principles that in what case it will be applicable. It's not that every fundamental right is absolute. Fundamental rights are not absolute. There are restrictions on fundamental rights also. So if there is a constitutional right, there can be some restriction on that part also. So you can discuss that we need to have discussions and deliberation. We need to find restriction for this right. We need to find the right restriction for this right. But at the same time, we need to ensure that it is given more authority. It is given more authority than being a simple statutory right. And in the conclusion part, you can mention about this Anup Varanwal case. You can mention about this Anup Varanwal case where it was said by one of the judge that the right to vote should be considered as a fundamental right or at least a constitutional right. So again, you can give this mention of the Anup Varanwal case that we need to consider, we need to discuss on the aspect highlighted by one of the judge in Anup Varanwal case, that the right to vote should be considered as a fundamental right or at least a constitutional right for the survival of democracy in India. Okay. So this is how you can write the conclusion of this answer. Sir, in the conclusion of answer, mostly in the answer we write like this. In this way we see that okay, if you're writing like this, in this way we see that try to add something extra. Like suppose when we are writing this answer, if we are writing the Anup Varanwal case, so here at the end of the conclusion you can mention this part that there is a need in order, like you are writing in this way we see that, instead of that you can write like this: there is a need to reconsider the argument given by one of the judge in Anup Varanwal case that right to vote should be considered as a fundamental right or at least a constitutional right for the sake of democracy. So this is one thing which you can add in this answer. I hope that's clear. I want to open class 12 science, but I'm not able to do it. So Akhilesh, class 12 science, I didn't get it. Okay. If you have a doubt related to that, just mention in the comment section after the classes. I will go through it. Just give a little bit more detail so that I can understand what your doubt is. And yes, Sharita, we will discuss the 7th July first question tomorrow. Tomorrow we will discuss that part. Okay. So that will be all for today. I hope you have written accordingly. So we have 2 questions again. Try to write them. Tomorrow we will discuss one question of 7th of July and one question of 9th of July. Okay. So thank you everyone. Take care and all the best.